Hi, this is Terri Gillespie, and welcome to Author Highlight with Terri. And I am so excited about this month's guest. She's off in the wings, and it is Tessa Afshar, award-winning and best-selling author. And if you don't know Tessa, you're going to learn a lot about her. And if you do know Tessa and her books, hopefully you're going to learn some more really interesting information. And Tess and I talked earlier, and we really want this to be more than just an interview, but a time of inspiration for all of us. So a special welcome to my new viewers and my current subscribers. Thank you so much for continuing to watch. We're going on 2 years of this YouTube channel, and I appreciate the support. And by the way, subscribers to my YouTube channel, you really, existing subscribers, new subscribers, this is going to be an important episode for you. So stay tuned for that. And one more thing before we get to the fun stuff, and that is to be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this video, because what that does, yes, it helps me, but what it does even more importantly is it helps Tessa, because somehow with the algorithms in YouTube, what happens is Tessa's name and her book go higher in the YouTube food chain, and we really want that for her. And by the way, when I say like, that means down below in the description section. And when I say comment, I mean down below in the description section. We love comments on social media. We love the likes and shares on social media. But to get those algorithms humming and going, it has to be on this YouTube video. So that's pretty much for the housekeeping, which is boring, but I got to do it. Now for the fun part. And here is Tessa Afshar.
Hello,
Hi.
Terri.
Hi, Tessa.
Hi.
So good to finally meet you. I just have been so excited about this interview.
Terri, it's just a joy to be with you. This is a new podcast to me, so I'm really excited to dig in. I love what you said about the comments, because I also feel like that's what's unique about podcasts, and it makes it almost like a community. So yeah, we look forward to hearing from you.
Yes, we really do. And Tessa will probably respond to some of those comments as well once we go live. So just in case you don't know Tessa, I'm going to read just a little small part of her bio. Tessa is an award-winning author of biblical and inspirational historical fiction. She holds a Master of Divinity from Yale University, where she served as co-chair of the Evangelical Fellowship of the Divinity School. After working in women's ministry for nearly 20 years, Tessa became a full-time writer and speaker. Tessa and her husband live in New England, where they proudly tend to their mediocre garden, which, hey, you're doing better than me. I don't have one at all. So it sounds like you are one busy lady.
Well, Terri, we try to live a balanced life, but yeah, it's for me, every book is an adventure, and I try to enter into the experience of that era as best as I can. Like this book that just is coming out, The Hidden Prince, had some archery in it, and the next one as well. So my husband and I booked ourselves an archery lesson, and we went because I wanted to know what part of your body is going to get sore, what part of your body are you going to use. Obviously, these are not the same bows as they would have used 2,500 years ago, but still, it helps you kind of learn all of those, not only techniques, but also just your body's response
Hmm.
to archery. And I do a lot of cooking. I try to cook from biblical times. So this book starts in Babylon. And believe it or not, we actually have surviving recipes from Babylon. They don't tell you the amounts, and some of the stuff that's in there, we actually don't know how to translate it, so you have to guess. But I've been working on cooking some of these recipes that we hope to have in our book club kits and in a few other places. So, I keep busy with fun things as well. And that's just one of the delights of writing and trying to get into the world and inhabit it so that my readers will also feel like it's real.
Right, because it's hard for us to envision that in that time period. Because I write contemporary, it's pretty easy, but historical, especially biblical, and especially a culture that's no longer in existence, is that's really difficult. So, by the way, in the blog interview, there is a photo of Tessa using her archery acumen, and it is impressive. I got to tell you, it is impressive. So, how do readers keep in touch with you? What's the best way for them to do that?
Terry, I would suggest just come to my website. It's called tessaafshar.com. It's easy to find. And Terry has the spelling of my name, which is the hardest part. But you can sign up for newsletter, which we send. It includes a just a devotional every month, because that's on Facebook. We have a lot of followers who love the devotionals and they've been asking for them. So that would come directly into your mailbox. We don't bug you too often. It's just once a month. And we share prayer requests. We tell you about what's coming
Oh,
next. And we always have free giveaways as well.
that's wonderful. And all those important links are down below in the description section, including how to sign up for Tessa's newsletter, which sounds lovely. Um, by the way, the bio I gave earlier doesn't even begin to touch all of Tessa's accomplishments. So be sure and go over to the blog interview, because there'll be more information about Tessa, because I have a feeling that Tessa doesn't like to brag on herself. So I'll brag on her over in the blog interview. And don't forget all those important links that are down below. Also, down below in the description section is a link to my review of The Hidden Prince, which is coming out November 8th, which is, I gave a 5-star rating, 5 out of 5, and just a beautiful, beautiful book. And it really was. As we were talking earlier before we went on camera, it really was a surprise, a welcome surprise for me. And you touched on an era, and you went into an era most people wouldn't even journey into. And I was fascinated from the very first page. And the fact, I mean, when you were talking about the Hidden Prince, I had no idea who the Hidden Prince was. I mean, I had no clue who you were. And I mean, that's unusual for me. That's very unusual for me. So, and especially the fact that this Hidden Prince would be so important to Israel and ultimately to us in the future. So, plus, it's just a great story. It's full of suspense and action and adventure and a little bit of romance. So it was wonderful. And I thought it would be nice if you could give our viewers just a taste of The Hidden Prince by reading a little bit from it. Could you do that for us?
I would be delighted. So I am starting right with the prologue.
Ooh, good.
And this is a verse from Daniel. We start with a verse, with every chapter, there's a verse. Then the king gave Daniel high honors and many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and chief prefect over all the wise men of Babylon. Daniel 2:48. The 29th year of King Nebuchadnezzar's reign. My father tightened his grip on my hand as we hurried past the ziggurat, the golden shrine of Marduk at its top gleaming in the morning sun. He always felt uneasy when we came too close to one of Babylon's many temples, but this one, the most renowned and opulent, made his Jewish heart downright agitated. The ziggurat had occupied the center of Babylon for centuries, growing dilapidated with the passage of time. When Nebuchadnezzar ascended the throne, he spent a fortune on repairs to the famous landmark, restoring the ziggurat to a magnificent height so that 50 men could stand upon one another's shoulders and still not touch the zenith. To stamp the monument with his personal seal of grandeur, the king had added the bejeweled shrine of the Babylonian god Marduk, like a crown at the top of the lofty structure. I stumbled as I stared over the walls, past the veil of palm fronds and verdant tree branches, following the slow progress of a white-clad priest as he ascended the ornate staircase, carrying a burning brazier. Pay attention, Karen. Stop staring at that abomination. Yes, father, I said, gaze still glued to the priest. You must not allow your mind to wander when you begin your service in Daniel's household. Stay your thoughts on the tasks given you. Of course. And do not ask impertinent questions. Who, me? I asked, offended. Grandfather says my questions are the sign of a quick mind. As I said, impertinent. You must quash that tendency. Yes, father. By now we had left the main thoroughfare by crossing a bridge over one of the canals that watered the city and found our way to a narrow, unpaved lane. Most of Babylon's roads were made of packed dirt, though some were wide enough to accommodate 2 chariots. Without warning, father stopped and turned to face me. I was tall for my age, but he still had to bend his head to look me in the eyes. Karen, he said, his voice growing faint. You know we love you, your mother and I. And I love you. Stop worrying about me. Daniel is a good man. You will be safe in his household. I patted my father's shoulder reassuringly. Years ago, the king had elevated Lord Daniel to the position of chief amongst all the wise men and governor over the province of Babylon, the wealthy capital of the nation of Babylonia. In one fell swoop, Nebuchadnezzar had made a young Jew ruler over many of his own countrymen. Not all of us captives from Judah were so honored. Many of my people served as slaves. Others had been sent to live in the Babylonian lands previously uninhabited. Some, like my father, occupied more menial positions in Babylon. My father's skills had earned him the post of assistant to a scribe. Though my mother and sisters wove baskets for the merchants in the market and my brothers worked in the docks, my father's salary was the mainstay of our home. His meager income had to stretch 8 ways and was never enough. In a moment of desperation, my father had borrowed from a money lender at an exorbitant rate, and now he could not pay it back. He had wept when he had approached his kinsman Daniel, wept with sorrow and, I suspect, no little shame. Though he had my blessing, offering to sell his younger daughter to his wealthy cousin nearly broke my father's heart. Of course, we all hoped that my family would save enough to redeem me within the year, but I suspected our hope to be more of a vain dream than a realistic plan. In all the years we had lived in Babylon, my family had yet to save a single silver shekel.
Wow. Wow. That really pulls me into the story immediately. And I love the fact that you had different classes, really, of captives in Babylon. You had Daniel, you had those who had to do the menial tasks. And you and I were talking earlier, and we were talking about how the pandemic, when when Israel was captive.
Taken captive.
Thank you. I are a writer. Um,
I are too.
When they were taken captive, they had no idea what their future would look like. And in many ways, it was like that with the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah, in fact, I wrote this story, Terry, sort of in the bowels of the pandemic when we were like really deep entrenched into it. It had lasted longer than any of us had expected, and other really difficult things were happening right alongside. And I think my soul came to a place where I became really discouraged when I would think
Mhm.
about tomorrow. It felt hard to have hope for tomorrow. It just felt like, well, it's never going to be good again, you know? It was just a lie that was coming and pressing against me. And so I wanted to write this character who went through this, who, on a personal level, came to a place where she felt like she had lost all hope for the future, that there was really no future for her anymore. And I wanted to see where she would get from there. And it was just a beautiful experience as I was writing this, because God reminded my own soul that just around the corner from the worst is God's best. That the plans that God has for those plans, they're not going to, whether for our personal lives, whether for the world in general, those plans are not going to be taken over or be broken apart and shattered or stolen just because we fail or just because we're incompetent. That God
Mhm.
is able, God is able to bring that those plans to fruition. So this book became a book about hope. Do you have a minute for me to share one more thing with you?
Oh, of course, of
Oh,
course.
fantastic. Because there's this verse that is a thread that is kind of woven through this book, and it's a prophecy from Isaiah over the captives in Babylon. He says, "And the Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your desire in scorched places, and make your
Mhm.
bones strong, and you shall be like a watered garden." And you know that by this time, it's several decades into their captivity, I think a couple of decades at this point in the story. And you know by now that this is a generation whose life has become a scorched place. Like when they think about the future, they really don't have much hope.
Mhm.
It's been too long, and they just the word scorched places. It's what describes their tomorrow. But they also, a lot of them lived in the city of Babylon. And by this time, Nebuchadnezzar had built the hanging gardens on the
Mhm.
rooftop of one of his palaces. So you have to know Babylon is in modern day Iraq. It's very dry and very hot. This is not a green land.
Mm-mm.
In fact, even though they built canals from the Euphrates to water the city, it still wasn't a very green city in spite of that. So the hottest place in the city would be the tall rooftops, because that's where the sun hit the hardest. So if
Mhm.
if you're thinking of a scorched place, it's the rooftop, Terry. And yet here they're walking and they would look up, you could see the hanging gardens from a lot of places in the city. You look up and you see this lush garden with like trees that have great trunks, and there's an actual stream running through, and there are flowers at different seasons on a
Mm.
rooftop. And I can't help but imagine that they would have remembered this verse, that God is saying to them, He will satisfy your desire in scorched places, make your bones strong, and you shall be like a watered garden. So they're feeling like, I am like a rooftop, I am a scorched place. But if that scorched place can be turned into that garden, that woodland, then my life too can
Hmm.
be turning into that. And really, this is what the story
Amen.
is about, you know.
Amen. I know there was another prophecy too before they were taken captive that talked about that, yes, this was punishment for their disobedience, but that if they would go and they would make a life for themselves, that they would pray for their captors, and that they would still have families. They would still produce whatever they could produce, that God would bless them. And so we can learn so much from that, that no matter where we are, how, whatever is captive, why am I having so much trouble with that word? So, no matter where we are captives, that God still will give us favor, and He will still show us how to live in that scorched land. So,
Yes, I love that, Terry. I think, you know, I think you're referring to some verses from Jeremiah, and I
yes,
absolutely agree. I think once they went into, you know, they were coming from the place of faithlessness, and that's partly why God removed His hand of protection from them. But in captivity, they're sort of exposed to two choices: is enter more deeply into faithlessness, chase after the gods of Babylon, or enter deeply into faith and hope that the Lord will forgive and open, like release those blessings that He's promised.
yes,
And people essentially went into these two camps. Some people got lost. They got lost forever. You like those lineages were lost forever because they got mixed in with the people of
assimilated.
Babylon. They got
Yeah.
assimilated by faith. And then you have these other people who held on and actually grew in their faith, got their hands on every prophecy they could, and started sharing that and growing in their faith. So I think that for us, maybe this is also a season where that's what's happening, where those of us who have shallow faith maybe are stumbling and falling, and those of us who are saying, no, I don't want to die in, I don't want to get assimilated, I don't want my faith to be shattered, are like looking for ways to deepen our faith and exit the captivity for ourselves and for the generations that come after.
Amen. What a good word. Thank you, Tessa. Thank
Sure.
you. Mm. So, you know what? People are going to be playing this over and over again because there's some wonderfully deep information here. Um, Now we're going to get into a little fun stuff. So, as I mentioned earlier, the interview blog has some great information, and it really has. I loved what you had to say for the writer's tip. That was really good, and I'm not going to say what it is because I want them to go over there to the blog interview. But I never had somebody say that so clearly before, and I think it's an important thing to say, especially for new writers who get tied up in all the rules and regulations of writing, rules and regulations of writing. So, how about if you tell us something about yourself that most people don't know?
Well, I am very petite. I'm only 5 feet tall. And in fact, sometimes when I go to conferences or a book signing or something, someone will look at me with great disappointment and say, I thought you would be taller. And I don't know why that
Oh,
is. Like, you know, I do my books make me look taller? But I don't know. I maybe I write tall books, but um, I'm just 5 feet tall. That's all. That's as tall as I am.
listen, honey, I'm 5'1 3/4 if I stretch really tall. So, and my mother is 4'11, so I feel really tall around her. But you know, usually I'm the person looking up at everyone. So, Maybe it's just because you have such a big personality and
Thank you. That's very sweet. Yes. A big mouth attached to a very tiny person.
uh, I resemble that remark. So, um, well, it's interesting because I had to share this. My favorite cartoon character was Mighty Mouse. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but Mighty Mouse, he was a mouse and he was a superhero and he had this operatic voice. So he would sing when he was going to go rescue someone.
Can
And
I just tell you, is it what he would say? Is it, here I come to save the
yes,
day?
yes, yes. So, and that beautiful voice. And so here's this little mouse picking up and rescuing all these people and saving the world. And so I always identified with Mighty Mouse. He was my favorite cartoon character. So we're just mice, mighty mices. So along those lines, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Well, I mean, I thought really hard about this, and I'm embarrassed to say I have no superpowers. So maybe my superpower is my awareness that I have no superpowers. The great superpower in my life is God. And so my superpower maybe is that I try to just cling to Him for every small thing and big thing. I'm not perfect at it, obviously, but I do. You will laugh at this. Like, I will pray for a good parking spot because I'm terrible at parking and things like that. Just I rely on God's superpower because I feel so like fragile in comparison to what we have to face in the world. So he's my superpower.
Hey, you know what? That's really because he has all of the power. So that's there's nothing wrong with that at all. So now we get to some fun stuff, more fun stuff. And that is that for this month's giveaway, Tessa and Tyndale Publishers have generously offered Tessa's latest novel, The Hidden Prince. Yay! And it is a beautiful book, absolutely beautiful book. Not only, I don't know if you noticed, but anytime I did a video concerning your book, I tried to wear clothes that kind of matched the cover. So now, how many viewers out there would love to win a copy of this book? And there are ways that you can have not just one entry, but up to 6 entries. So if you like this video and you comment down below on this video, that's 1 entry. If you share this video, it is another entry. If you subscribe and hit that little dingy bell, then that's 2 entries. And then if you go on over to the blog interview and you like and comment, that's another entry. And then if you subscribe to my newsletter, which has a couple of freebie gifts, then you earn another entry. And I think that equals 6. If it doesn't, my husband will correct it. So, so up to 6 entries to win this beautiful giveaway. And the drawing will be held Friday, November 11th. And if you are already a subscriber, don't worry. As long as you comment and like, you will receive those extra entries. So, and also please note that this only applies to the contiguous US. We're really sorry, Alaska and Hawaii. We love you, we really do. But unfortunately, that's just the way of the
postage. The
Yes,
postage is really expensive, and I think that it's hard for people who do giveaways to, because most people who do giveaways do so repeatedly, and when you add that, it's just almost like 5 or 6 times as expensive as in the mainland. So
it really is. So
makes it
all
very
complaints can go to the U.S. Post Office. So before we sign off, Tessa, are there any final words that you would like to leave with our viewers?
well. I just want to say I'm so glad you joined us. It's an honor to get to spend this time with you. I know that this isn't like our time is so precious these days. So thanks for that. And by the way, don't you have a book coming out, or didn't you just sign a contract, Terri, for a book? So maybe you can share a little bit about that, because I was so excited for you. I think, like, for me, it
Oh,
was just a reminder that dreams are coming through, are coming true, even as we speak. That sometimes we get so caught up in the hardness of the world that we
mhm.
forget that, and yet God is opening doors all the time. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can't wait to see it.
Well, thank you everyone for, as Tessa said, you could be doing a whole lot of other things. We really do appreciate you stopping by and watching a couple of ladies who love the Lord, who love to write, and who love you. And we just hope that it will be as meaningful to you as it was to us. So next month, I will be interviewing Susan May Warren. And Susie was actually my very first writer instructor at ACFW. And so it'll be fun to reconnect with her. And in the meantime, we thank you so much. God bless and keep reading.